Hello, everybody. My human family. I have something I want to share with you all. There are so many of my soul family out there. Of course, I feel this deep love for my entire human family, but those of you who I really feel a deep bond with, my soul family, I miss you. I miss talking to you and sharing my journey with you because we're all growing together. That's the point. And apparently, as a soul, I came to explore emotions. And this, I, I knew for a long time. To me, like as a spiritual student, ever since I was a wee kid, before I ever even had boobies, I was studying emotions and why people acted the way they did, and most specifically, why people who you love the most you treat the worst. Not even love the most, but like the people who you chose to come in and take this life with, your earth family. But then also later, and I'll get further into what I'm saying here, but like why people are mean to each other. And, knowing that it's hard. I understand that people are heart-centered, and when you're not in your heart, it's really difficult. And when you are in your heart, it's really fucking difficult. So I really, for my entire life, have been studying from a spiritual perspective, being raised in a Southern Baptist household, and my grandfather was a preacher, and I was raised in the church, but I saw so many hurtful things there, so it really confused me. So my entire life I have been really studying spirituality and emotions together, everything, but just always feeling in my heart and spiritual is like what I want, where I want to be, and how. So on the path of spirituality, whether we're walking it consciously or not, and we're always becoming more and more conscious, and it is my belief that we're all on the spiritual path, whether we know it or not. We come to equate like good behavior with being spiritual, and bad behavior as a sign of your character. It must mean something about you if you say something on the wave of an emotion that is obviously an uncomfortable emotion, or you wouldn't be trying to get away from it. It's funny, we resist feeling things, and so we try to like scare them away. Get away from me! I don't want to feel you. And when others are around us and they're heart-centered, then if that heart opens, it's really uncomfortable. When you're not used to feeling, if someone's holding space for your heart to open, because like naturally your heart just opens, you can approach someone energetically with an open heart, and it just creates this little bubble around you both, and you're in this safe space when you consciously choose to communicate from your heart, even though it's awkward and hard. I know for me, when I'm having difficult emotions, or just feeling things that I don't want to feel, and they're there, so it's hard for me to look people in the eye when I am going through those emotional things. And what sparked I mean, not even what sparked. I mean, I'm talking about my whole life, and I always am. I think we all are. You know, what I have come to learn through experience so far is this. And you know, we quote the greatest spiritual teachers and gurus and think that a person walking a spiritual path is supposed to act or walk or talk a particular way. And then, you know, we find out that this spiritual teacher has been doing shady shit behind people's backs. It's really prevalent in history, and in present day. And so sometimes when my emotions get the best of me and I'm around people, I get disappointed in myself. But about 2 weeks ago now, I literally purged all of my self-judgment, and I rode a wave of emotion in a way that I hadn't allowed myself to in a really long time. But I made a commitment to my inner child that if I needed to feel something so that we could process it together, that we could. So, anyway, I rode this wave of emotion that went really deep, and I just kept going deeper and deeper, and I'm actually really grateful for the opportunity to be triggered to explore the emotion. And ultimately, this ended up lifting and surfacing a lot of emotions I did not know that I had around sisterhood. And I think it's safe to say we all have wounds around sisterhood. You know, we create these intimate bonds with other women, and then we act out our mother wounds on them. We act out sister wounds on them. But I see a lot of women playing, including myself, like acting out the same type of wounding that their mother did, just from a different angle, because it was never owned in the lineage. Because we don't just pass down our cells and our shape of our face and the way we talk to our family members. We also hand down the way that we deal with difficult emotions, the way that we deal with emotions at all, the way that we treat them like they matter or not. So, for the first time ever, because after the ceremony a couple weeks ago, I'm telling you, I really dropped all of my self-judgment and dealt with a lot of mother wounding that surfaced up and allowed me to have space to look at these sister wounds deeper. And it's been really, really interesting. I had never before not felt bad because I'm a person openly walking and talking about the spiritual path, to let my emotions get the best of me, because, you know, we see a lot of gurus in the cloaks and being all, you know, proper. But the reason that I'm drawn to the embodiments of the divine feminine and you know, that are more vicious, I find them to be so much more honest. So, what is that coming up? I don't know about white balance. I'm learning. I don't think that matters. Does it? I don't know. I hope not. So anyway, Kali Ma, you know, she's vicious. She's holding a severed head, and she's got all these arms and these weapons, and then Lord Shiva's just letting her do it, because he knows that things have to be destroyed. And through women, Mother Nature embodies herself, and sometimes like a storm has to happen to clear things out. And I think we can all relate to that, you know, whether it's inside or outside, however it's playing out in our lives. And it is my belief, you know, that what shows up in our outside world is a reflection of what's in the inside. And if we haven't been able to examine something that's in us because we think it is us or we feel it's us energetically, it's something that we've thought belonged to us. Perhaps it could be an array of things, something that's just like passed down through our blood that we are carrying, and again, just not really aware of it. So I'm pausing because sometimes I want to share things that are not clarified enough yet in my heart to be able to say without seeing it from the eyes of divinity as sacred. Because if I'm still angry about something, I'm gonna really try not to talk about it. It's hard. It's really hard. But, for me, a lot of my own poetry that I go back to, for me, to remind me of things, are things that were sparked by anger, and they'll start in this place and end up somewhere else, and then I realize why I'm so upset, So again, it was really interesting, and I feel a responsibility as a soul who came here to passionately learn about emotions and honor them as spirit just as much as anything else, We can study nature to understand. If you don't understand what I'm saying, we can study human dynamics. We can study the world even at large, and because of the mass emotional oppression, suppression, for the mass fucking cruelty that's been done to humanity, that make people feel like their emotions don't matter, so that it's not important to hold sacred, safe space for a person to honestly be as angry as they feel that they are, to get it out without having to be ashamed of it, without having to hurt themselves, rage the street, holding space, because you hold space for something doesn't mean that you agree with it. Because you hold space for something doesn't mean that you wish that for a person if they're going through something hard. In fact, holding space for it gives you a chance to pray with and for the situation. Yeah. So many interesting things with really honoring our emotions and not judging ourselves for allowing ourselves to feel them. I've recently taken my inner child work deeper in the past. I'm not sure when I started working with Chris several months ago, after I sat at Hummingbird Heart Sacred Medicine Church with Terry and came to a part of my wounding that I was now gentle enough to handle. Then I called Christelle Vesco Cruz and was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's do this work on sexual and emotional trauma. And, when you do jump into this work, you let just like you would your own child, ideally, act out this whatever emotion, and then together you can talk about, what was that? And I'm like any other kid. When I'm hungry, I get angry, and then we explain to the child, okay, like lunch isn't however long, or whatever, whether you're at school or at home. and explain when we're not nourished, you feel like this. So just hold on to that. Really enjoy your food when you have it. Be grateful for it, And for me, battling with not absorbing oxygen and not absorbing my nutrients well, I deal with that a lot more than I'd like to admit. Because, sometimes I eat and it doesn't even make a difference because whatever. Some days are great. They're getting better. This Florida sunshine's really helping. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you all. If you've listened to me so far, I thank you. I honor you. I hope there was something here to help you on your journey. And I'm really being guided by Spirit to be very openly honest with my experience of the spiritual path and why really taking the time to look at our emotional underdevelopment without shame, because a lot of us get really damaged early on in life through all sorts of traumas, neglect, abuse, whatever it is. And our emotional development stunts. We no longer allow ourselves to show certain things because people hurt us when we did show it. So many of us on this spiritual path are acting out what our child needs to act out. And if you give your inner child the space to just have at it without being ridiculous, never hurting anybody with violence, being mindful of your words, and when you just are riding that wave too hard that you don't pick the word you wished you did, be man or woman enough to apologize. So I just really want us, all of us who are healing from trauma, it takes time to deprogram, reprogram, unprogram, catch up to speed. We have so much going on all the time. So I know for me, I have so many people dear to my heart who are going through really difficult things. And it's hard to carry my stuff without just... It's like I just want to pray. I just want to be there. I just want to be present. And I'm learning to do that and be that with myself as much as I should, because it makes beautiful art, it makes beautiful songs, beautiful dances, beautiful conversations, beautiful reflections, beautiful space for me to share with others just through going through the day of my spiritual practice without any guidelines on what it needs to look like in that moment. Just coming to show up for myself. Okay, it's time to be with our day, in whatever way honors you in the way you're trying to honor yourself. For me, I'm honoring my inner child right now, big time. And this has been so powerful for me, and sharing the work with others has been really nice, and being able to be honest and put my dirty laundry out there with people when they are telling a story that makes them feel ashamed. I'm like, no, please don't feel that way. Because once we can step out of the shame, once we can step out of the guilt for being human and allowing an emotion to course through us because it's an energy that's moving through us, absolutely, we practice getting better at it all the time. But I know when I was young and I used to do everything perfect all the time, even though I was raging inside, it hurt me when people would treat me like a goody two-shoes, So I got over that, I'm going to act like I'm perfect thing a long time ago, because it did not serve me. In fact, it made people treat me like shit. But really, it's because I didn't know how to honor myself. So it's a long story. It's nobody's fault. We're all just very emotionally underdeveloped in a world that is traumatized by a lot of things. And we are healing those things by honoring those things. So anyways, I love you all. Thank you for listening, especially if you made it this far. I had no idea I was going to ramble for 20 minutes, but it felt important. And I have made a promise to the ancestors to show myself, and through this healing process, especially amongst women, because it is our time now to really take our responsibility of sacred sisterhood very seriously, because we need to rise together to heal all this stuff and hold space for it the way a mother holds space for a child growing, souls evolving, ascension happening. So we're all going through this cycle many times, and we'll get there together. I love you all so much. Mwah. Namaste. Satnam.